For most women, feminine hygiene products like pads and tampons are a necessity. However, some people don't even have access to them. And that's why a few Kentuckians are trying to make the products more accessible for all. WKYT's Carly Hogston showing us how advocacy groups and even legislators are trying to end what's being called period poverty in the Commonwealth.
Tampons and pads are a basic necessity for many females, but that doesn't mean they are accessible for everyone. Bethany Sester has a solution with her Period Project, which provides free menstrual products to help women of all ages.
Period care is for everyone. Period poverty affects a lot of people, not just individuals having periods, but again, families. You might have a sibling or a family member who may need a pad or a tampon, and you want to make sure that you have that accessible for them.
That experience spearheaded the project. Her latest goal is to fill the bathrooms of local Lexington high schools like Lafayette and Bryan Station with the products.
I had a particular individual that needed access to pads as she was using toilet paper and socks to make pads. So to me, it just seemed like this should not be something that people should have to make a product for just to take care of a simple biological thing.
Kentucky legislators are also trying to fix the issue. In January, Democratic Representative Lisa Wilner filed House Bill 148, which would eliminate the tax on menstrual products. It would allocate $2 million to fund public high school and middle school bathrooms with period care. The measure never made it to a committee. Skylar Davis, a Kentucky period care advocate and founder of Period Y'all, says these supplies are essential to a student's success.
64% of people with periods are unable to afford the products that they need. This leads to 1 in 4 students missing school. This is beyond just a period poverty issue. It's an access to education issue as well.
Davis tells me it all starts with changing the narrative and breaking down the stigma of periods.
Periods aren't political, and it's just about helping our fellow Kentuckians.
In Lexington, Carly Hogston, WKYT.
Davis says there are many ways to help out. Both the Lexington Period Project and Period Y'all are actively taking donations. To learn more about drop-off locations as well as products that are needed, you can check out this story at WKYT.com or look at it on the free WKYT News app.